So just to wrap up here, I think challenging environment here going forward. Energy and feedstock costs, that coupled with an uncertain demand outlook are going to impact utilization rates and therefore margins and profitability in the industry going forward. I think medium term we are optimistic given the broader megatrends around energy transition, green hydrogen, the 5G shift and things like that. Continued emphasis on finding ways to take commoditized products and find ways to look for premiums there, either by the combination of solutions or tailoring them to specific applications. And then finally, significant challenges around recycling and decarbonization. So I know we are running a bit behind. We'll try to catch up here in the break. So maybe if there are questions, I can take a question or two for a couple of minutes here.
Thanks for that. So a lot of prognosticators are calling what's happening right now possibly the end of globalization, or maybe even starting deglobalization, and that's sort of highlighted by the closing off of Russia, companies leaving Russia because of their behavior. China building up their own ability to make end products. United States politicians looking at what happened during the pandemic as being issues of national security in terms of being able to make our own products, keeping the supply chain here. I'd love to hear your comments about where you see that's going as it relates to the chemical industry.
Yeah, so I think there's obviously quite a bit of manufacturing capacity that is, I guess, being shifted, whether it's back to the US or in some cases, companies are developing additional manufacturing capacity in other parts of Asia other than China, right? So I think we are seeing quite a bit of activity there. To what extent is that going to truly occur in a material fashion in the chemical and petrochemical industry? I am not very optimistic that that's going to happen a lot, right? At the end of the day, the chemical petrochemical industry is a feedstock play, right? You're going to migrate capacity to where the best feedstock is available, where it's most cost advantage, right? That's the reason why the US lost a lot of manufacturing capacity in the 80s and the 90s, and that's the reason why a lot of that is coming back or came back in the past decade because of the fact that US was able to find a lot of cost advantaged ethane. I think some of that could occur, but of course, right? Some markets and some regions, right? China, and I think Bob was talking about this too, is they've long had this policy that we're going to develop a lot of domestic capacity irrespective of what the costs and economics look like. But the traditional model of funding a lot of those capacity investments is also changing. Last year, we did a project on benchmarking the cost structure of hydrocarbon resin production in China, Japan, and the US. And we didn't find big differences in the cost stack. But that's because a lot of the hydrocarbon resin business in China is now privately owned. It's not owned by a CNOOC or a Sinopec or, So I think that while that state support for a lot of chemical capacity in China will probably continue for a while, I think there are changes occurring that seem to suggest that the playing field is probably getting a little bit